The Spanish team continued its successful run on home soil in its second match against Poland. After a long, scoreless stretch, it was right winger Juanito, just as in the opening victory against New Zealand, who was able to break the deadlock. Just 5 minutes later, Spain scored their second goal, effectively sealing the game. This goal, too, was scored by a player from the Blancos. Center forward, Santillana capitalized on an assist from Joaquin. The hosts should now have secured their place in the round of 16. Poland needs a win against New Zealand in its final match to be safe. The second match in Group 1 between Chile and New Zealand ended in a scoreless draw. In Group 2, world champions Argentina were looking to settle the group early with a second win in their second match against Cameroon. And things looked very promising for the South Americans at first, as striker Ramon Diaz converted a pass from Diego Maradona for his second goal of the tournament. But just as in the opening match against the Soviet Union, the West African team proved to be a tough opponent and fought their way back into the game with a goal by Mbito. The score remained unchanged until the final whistle. The spectators at the Sarria Stadium in Barcelona were in for a surprise. Underdog Kuwait took the lead against the Soviet Union shortly after the start of the second half. Goalkeeper Dasiev was powerless to stop it. The 1975 Ballon d'Or winner, Oleg Blokin, manages to set up Andreev for the equalizer, but that's all they can manage. On the third match day, the Soviets face a showdown with defending champions Argentina. Following their convincing victory over Northern Ireland, Brazil got off to a flying start against Austria in Group 3. Roma's star midfielder Falcao opened the scoring with a deflected shot in the 13th minute. However, the Brazilians sometimes neglect their defensive work, allowing Walter Schachner to equalize at 1-1. With that, the Austrians secured their second point against teams that had previously been considered stronger than them. After the opening draw, France was under pressure and got off to a strong start against Northern Ireland. Less than 5 minutes in, Dominique Rocheteau capitalized on a nice play to give his team an early lead. The score remained that way almost until the final whistle. Midfield star Michel Platini, who will be moving from Saint-Étienne to Juventus after the tournament, sealed the 2-0 victory with a last-minute goal. The final match day will feature the big game between Brazil and France. After being heavily criticized for their lackluster start against El Salvador, West Germany put on a brilliant performance in their second match against Peru. Rummenigge got things started with a little help from Peru's goalkeeper Quiroga. Shortly after the break, the Bayern striker set up the goal for Horst Hrubesch. The forward from champions Hamburg impressively demonstrated his heading ability. Peru had a disastrous day and was caught off guard by a counterattack just a few minutes later. Hrubesch was initially denied by Quiroga, but he got to the ball again and set up Karl-Heinz Rummenigge for the goal that made it 3-0. And Hrubesch also got to celebrate a second goal that evening. He converted a perfect pass from Paul Breitner, the 1974 World Cup champion, to make the final score 4-0. Perhaps the criticism of Germany's narrow victory over El Salvador was overblown, as the underdog from Central America pulled off the biggest upset of the tournament so far against Yugoslavia. Ever Hernandez scored the opening goal. The Yugoslavs had clearly underestimated their opponents and suffered another shock before halftime. Rugamas extended his team's lead to 2-0. After the restart, the Yugoslavs launched a furious attack in an attempt to turn the game around, but El Salvador put up a valiant fight. It wasn't until after several attempts that Zlatko Vujovic scored his second goal of the World Cup to pull one back. But the confident team from El Salvador not only managed to avoid conceding any more goals, but even scored a third one through Zapata. Yugoslavia is now under immense pressure ahead of its match against West Germany. In Group 5, Czechoslovakia and Italy played to a 1-1 draw. Following a corner kick, the 1976 European champions took the lead on a header by Kriz. After a pass from Antonioni, Marini hit the post, but his inter-teammate, Alessandro Altobelli, was in the right place at the right time and was able to convert the rebound to tie the game. In the second group stage match, Belgium faced Algeria. In an entertaining game, the North African team took an early lead thanks to a goal by Jamel Zidane. The equalizer came just over half an hour into the game. Goalkeeper Mehdi Kerba initially managed to block Vandersnissen's shot, as well as Cherniatinski's follow-up, but the ball deflected off one of his own players and into the net. The goal was, however, credited to the Belgian striker. But thanks to a strong performance by Mirza Kane, Algeria was still able to celebrate in the end. The right fullback played a 1-2 with Zidane and beat Jean-Marie Pfaff to make it 2-1. England's coach, Ron Greenwood, changed his lineup despite the win against Honduras and was rewarded for it. The two new players, Woodcock and With, secured an early lead against Hungary. But Hungary put in a strong performance and got back into the game in the second half. Thanks to a miscommunication in England's back four, Andras Turicic was able to score the equalizer, making it 1-1. In the closing stages, the 1966 World Cup champions were awarded a penalty. The call, following Salah's foul on McDermott, which also resulted in a yellow card, was clear-cut, even if the Hungarians refused to accept it. Ray Wilkins kept his cool and secured England's second win in their second game. Scotland got off to a dream start in their match against Honduras. Liverpool FC superstar Kenny Dalglish put his team ahead in Oviedo. Although it initially looked like the favorites were headed for a victory, fans were treated to a spectacular second half in which the Central American team played with great enthusiasm and fought their way back into the game thanks to Captain Maradiaga. With 5 minutes left in the game, things took a turn for the worse for the Scottish team. The offside trap failed, and goalkeeper Alan Ruff let Betancourt's seemingly harmless shot slip through. Honduras was on the verge of a stunning upset. But the Scots threw everything forward in the final minutes to avoid an early elimination, and Brazil managed to equalize in stoppage time. This sets up a final showdown against arch-rival England on the last match day. Here's a quick overview of all the results and standings. The final match day promises more thrilling showdowns and plenty of excitement, with highlights including the clash between favorites Brazil and France, and the classic match between England and Scotland, which takes on added significance due to the standings in Group 6. Let us know in the comments what you liked most about today's episode. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time for the decisive final match day of the group stage of the 1982 World Cup in PES 2008 on the PlayStation 2.